guys, Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness here on Terrific Tuesday here in Connecticut. Let me get this straight. Much better. Anyway, life's good. I had one of the worst weeks of practice I've had in a long time. It's not like it was nothing. I did try to piecemeal some stuff in there, and I hate doing that. I probably should have just taken a week off. But towards that end, I played 2 hours today. Just loved sitting down and having 2 hours free to just play my beloved trumpet. And here we are. Anyway, you saw the thumbnail. Happy birthday, Doc. I'll get to it in a minute. Okay, let me honk and then we'll talk about Doc. Anyway, this all started last week when one of my pals emailed me to congratulate me on my wedding anniversary, which is July 7th. And he said, you got married on Doc's birthday. I never knew such a thing. Every once in a while it would come up. You know, you're on a job or something and Doc's birthday, but I never, it's not like I have the calendar but he told me a story. And I felt that this story and this side of Doc warranted a video unto itself. As you know, we have dissected and, viewed his chops and analyzed his chops from every which way imaginable, and it's not going to be about that. How about Doc Severinsen just being a great guy, a fine humanitarian, and maybe one of the best ambassadors to the trumpet that we've ever had? Now, for you young guys, and I have a lot of them here, I'm sure you know who he is. I'm sure you've listened to his videos and all this sort of stuff. But before the social media age, okay, Doc was the most visible trumpet player in the world for 30 years running. I mean, you could make a case for Herb Alpert in his run. You could make a case for Louis Armstrong. But as leader of the Tonight Show band, 5 nights a week, how many months out of the year? I mean, he was upfront and personal, and I'll tell you what, man, Johnny Carson loved him, loved the band. Johnny was a drummer himself, so he often featured the band. And every single time coming back from a commercial, you would hear just a little snippet of the band, usually with Doc ending on a high note. And I'm telling you, man, for the longest time, even when I'm working late, all of us would tune in to hear Doc do this. And it wasn't just Doc. That was the most all-star of all-star bands, just monster of monsters that you could imagine. And it was just wonderful that there was such a great trumpet player to carry that mantle for so many years. And I know that all of us, not all of us, most of us have their own Doc story. It was just several weeks ago. One of my pals, Larry from New York, was telling about when he was doing Thad and Mel's band, and he walked down the plane, and there's Doc there, and they just sit there and talk about trumpet. I mean, guys, the thing about it is, and nothing against Miles Davis, I'm just using him as an example. I mean, Miles Davis loved the trumpet, loved music, and loved jazz, but he wouldn't sit down and talk to anybody about it. Just people walking by him on the plane with a trumpet case. And this was Doc. this was Doc, and it is not talked about enough. So I'm going to tell you the story that Joe told me, and it's a tremendous, tremendous story. I've got a couple of my own. If we have time, I will put them in. I've used both of them before, so I'm not going to sweat it if I can't get them in. So I'm going to start with Joe's. This was back in high school, and Joe, being a trumpet player, obviously he's in his 70s now, idolized Doc, like all of us. Now, at that time, Joe was living in Brooklyn, and Doc and The Tonight Show was still in New York. Okay? So he was New York's own for the longest time. And Joe, being an admiring trumpet player, sent him a fan letter. And what did he get in return? He got several letters back from Doc on Getson paper, signed and sealed, and he put these on his Facebook page on Doc's birthday because he was very, very touched by this. And I'm going to read some of it to you. I mean, this is just a nice guy, right? Okay. So, dear Joe, Command Records forwarded your letter of July 7th to me, and though I must admit to prolonging a letter of thank you for so long, it's better late than never. I'm sincerely happy that you'd enjoy my new album, High, Wide, and Wonderful. And as of now, Command Records and I hope to have my next album out by January 1st. I'm sure you know what letters of opinion from fellows like you mean to me. And let me again say I sincerely appreciate the time and thoughtfulness it took on your part to let Command Records know your attitudes towards our work. My personal regards, Doc Sevens. How nice is that? How nice is that, right? Now, there was another one, and this is very, very hard to read, so I'm going to give you the gist of it. A couple years later, when he's in college, he wrote a letter to Doc and saying, I'd love to have the Tonight Show band come and play at my college. I believe it was Brooklyn College. I'm not sure. And he wrote him back and said, I'd love to play to your college, but as you know, Getson is the one that books all my stuff, and ABC, talent agency, whatever. But he gave the name of his booking agent and the contact numbers, contact information. So get in touch with him. If we can work it out, I'd love to play. I mean, come on, how hard is it? I mean, this is just a nice guy. The story's not done yet. Okay? Now, his sister, Joe's sister, a younger sister who was into journalism at the time, saw these letters that Joe was getting, because Joe was running around like a kid with a candy store, right? He's hanging with Dr. Everson. And she wrote him a letter at NBC Studios and said, I'm going to be a journalist, and I would love to interview you. A high school kid, sight unseen, he never met before in his life. Okay? He got in touch with her, and he had her come over to NBC Studios and gave her an hour-and-a-half interview. And she wrote on Joe's Facebook page, I could not believe how warm, sincere, she says, I would have been fully starstruck if he just gave me, a couple brief answers and said, I got to go. But now, an hour and a half, looked her. I mean, this is a kind man. This is a kind, thoughtful man. Where it came from, I'm not sure. Because he was a star, every bit of a star, with the wild get-ups in Hollywood and Johnny Carson and all that sort of stuff. But Mel told me, now Mel Broyles knew him quite well. They used to do a lot of studio work together. And Mel told me, Ace, Doc wasn't always the double C guy you hear today. He says he did that, he just turned himself into that double C guy. He said, whenever I walked into a session and Doc was there, he'd move over, and Mel played lead. So he wasn't, he just worked. Now, I have another story. I met him once. My brass quintet was playing a reception for a new Ralph Lauren line at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. My brass quintet was playing, and everybody that was there, Mayor Koch and Donald Trump and supermodels and all this sort of stuff. So we're playing our thing, and we're just sort of zoning out because it wasn't a concert per se. It was background music while people are drinking cocktails. And we're doing Rondo and Bengal Sangaleader and Gabrielle and stuff, and I'm sort of zoning out. And sitting in the horseshoe over my second trumpet player's shoulder, I just sort of noticed this little guy with a mustache, big smile on his face, shaking his head. And I came out of whatever zone I was in. I realized, it's freaking Doc. So I cut. It's Doc Severinsen, man. We all just get up and surrounded this guy. And I swear to God, this is the first things he said when we introduced us. Man, you sound good. He says, what mouthpiece are you using? Swear to God, all he wanted to do was talk trumpet, and he did. We were getting in trouble because we were spending the time talking to him and not playing like we were supposed to. But he would have talked all night. Shop, my chops, this, and what are you doing in the upper register? And is that a C trumpet? And does that mouthpiece work with this? I mean, it was just a nice guy. Okay, Larry Moses, I already did one a couple weeks ago about yours, but anybody else, and I know there's lots of them that have Doc stories, put them down in the comments if you feel you'd like to. If you want to send them to me via email and I can read them over the next video, you can do that if you want to. Okay? But that's it. Doc, little late, but happy birthday. And man, 93 years old, this guy's practicing as we speak. If he hasn't practiced yet, he's going to. I mean, God bless him. God bless him. The trumpet world was lucky to have such an ambassador as Doc Severinsen. Anyway, eat and drink your fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power.